You've been deceived. You are not the same person you were yesterday. Hello, curious minds. Have you ever looked in a mirror and felt for an instant that the person staring back at you is a complete stranger? Today we're going on a mind-bending journey into one of the deepest and most personal questions out there. Are you really you? And no, it's not a trick question. It's a philosophical abyss that has tormented thinkers for centuries, and I promise you that when we're done, you'll never think of yourself the same way again. We're going to descend together through 5 levels of knowledge, each deeper than the last, until your idea of what it means to be is completely transformed. Ready for the ride? Level 1, the surface everyone knows. Let's start at the very beginning, an old Greek story known as the Paradox of Theseus' ship. Imagine Theseus, a legendary hero, has a ship. Over time, the wood rots, so he replaces one plank, then another, and another. After 30 years, he has replaced every single original piece of the ship. The question is it still Theseus' ship? And if a clever guy collected all the old planks and reassembled them, which one is the real ship? This riddle is the foundation of our entire mystery today. But this isn't just about old ships. Think about yourself. Have you ever seen a photo of yourself from 10 years ago and thought, oh, what was I thinking? That hairstyle, those clothes, those ideas. It feels like it was a different person, doesn't it? That uncomfortable feeling, that cringe, is Theseus' paradox occurring within your own life. We feel we've changed so much that the person from the past is almost a stranger. This question is not new. We've been asking it for millennia. The story of the ship comes to us thanks to a historian named Plutarch, almost 2,000 years ago. For the Greeks, the ship was not just an object, it was a symbol of Athens' glory. Debating whether it was still the same was debating whether Athens was still the same great city. The question of the identity of things and of ourselves was born from an attempt to cling to something permanent in a constantly changing world. And of course, our most instinctive answer to all this is, well, the ship doesn't matter. I am me because I have a soul, an essence, a hard core that doesn't change. We all feel there's a real self at the center of everything, the pilot steering the machine. But have you ever stopped to think why we're so sure that pilot exists? Have you ever seen it? Or is it just an idea we desperately cling to? Okay, let's recap this first level. We have a ship that changes parts, the feeling of being different from our past selves, and the popular belief in an unchanging core. This is what almost everyone knows or intuits about identity. It's the tip of the iceberg, the part that floats in plain sight for everyone. But if this is what we see on the surface, what secret engines are moving it underneath? It's time to dive in. Welcome to Level 2. Level 2, the hidden mechanisms. Remember Theseus' ship and its replaced planks? Well, my friend, your body is exactly the same. Right now, as you watch this video, your body is replacing millions of cells. The cells of your skin, your blood, even your bones. In about 7 to 10 years, almost every atom in your body will have been replaced by a new one. Physically, you are not the same thing you were a decade ago. You are a walking ship of Theseus. This is the first great revelation. Change is not an exception, it is your natural state. And what about your memories, that which makes you you? Here an invisible and fascinating rule operates. Your memories are not like video files saved on a hard drive, playing back the same every time. Not at all. Every time you recall something, your brain actively reconstructs it. It's like telling a story. Each time you tell it, you embellish it a little, change a detail, emphasize a part. Your most cherished memories are not recordings. They are stories you've told yourself thousands of times, and they've changed in the process. This leads us to a factory error in our brain, a cognitive bias that deceives us all. Psychologists call it the narrative self. To make sense of life's chaos, our brain becomes a novelist and creates a coherent story about who we are. And this novelist is a bit tricky. It uses a trick called consistency bias. It makes you believe that you've always thought and felt the way you think and feel now. It edits your past so that the you of today seems like a logical and predictable continuation of the you of yesterday. It's a white lie to keep us sane. In fact, the idea of killing an old self to make way for a new one is something we've been doing as a species forever. Think of ancient tribes and their rites of passage. An adolescent was taken into the jungle, faced mortal trials, and symbolically died as a child to be reborn as an adult. Today we do the same in a less dramatic way. A graduation, a wedding, moving to a new city. These are rituals we use to mark the end of a chapter in our novel and start a new one. We declare, that person no longer exists, now I am this other person. And here's the key, all these hidden mechanisms, cell replacement, memory reconstruction, the narration of our lives, are not system failures. In reality, they solve an incredibly deep human need, the need for coherence. We need to feel that our life has meaning, direction, a plot. Without that story, without that invented self, Life would be a bombardment of random, unconnected experiences. It would be terrifying. The last hidden gear at this level changes everything. We believe our identity is something we create from within, right? Well, not entirely. It's known as the looking glass self. Much of who you are is shaped by how you believe others see you. If everyone treats you as the funny one in the group, you'll start to act more like the funny one. If they see you as the smart one, you'll strive to be that. We are a reflection of the eyes that look at us. This completely dismantles the idea that we are a purely individual creation. So as we close the second level, we see that things are much more complex. We are not a statue, we are a river. A body in constant flux, a memory that rewrites itself, a story we invent, and a reflection of others. Understanding these gears doesn't take away our identity. On the contrary, it gives us the power to be more conscious co-authors of the story we tell about ourselves. But if you thought we had everything clear, get ready, because this is where the story truly becomes chaotic. Welcome to Level 3. Level 3, the chaos of reality. This is where the real fight begins. The biggest debate is what is more important for identity. Your body or your mind? Imagine a Star Trek-like teleporter machine. It scans your body atom by atom, disintegrates it, and creates an exact copy on Mars. The copy has all your memories, your bad jokes, your fears. Are you the one who traveled to Mars? Or did you just die, and a clone of you is celebrating on the red planet? One side says, if it has my psychology, it's me. The other says, if my original body was destroyed, I died. There's no easy answer. Now let me tell you a secret. The idea of the true self, that belief that deep down there's a pure and authentic version of yourself waiting to be discovered, is probably a myth. Oops! Why do we love to believe in it? Because it gives us a wonderful excuse. It wasn't me, I was drunk. That's not my true self, I was stressed. It's a way to externalize our worst moments. The psychological reality is that we're more like a committee of different selves. The work self, the self with friends, the self with family, and all of them are equally real. And if that doesn't blow your mind, let's talk about a living paradox, split brain patients. To treat severe epilepsy, doctors sometimes cut the corpus callosum, the bridge connecting the two brain hemispheres. The result? Two semi-independent minds in a single skull. The left hemisphere might say it wants to be an artist, and the right, with the left hand, write that it wants to be a race car driver. Sometimes one hand tries to button a shirt while the other tries to unbutton it. The question is terrifying. How many people are in there? One or two? And this leads us to an ethical dilemma that shakes the foundations of our society. If a person commits a terrible crime at 20 but is caught at 80 after a lifetime of kindness and change, are we punishing the same person? If their cells are different, their memories altered, and their personality opposite, is it fair for the 80-year-old self to pay for the actions of the 20-year-old self? Our justice system assumes yes, but is this truly right? This confusion is not new, but how we deal with it has changed. Think about dissociative identity disorder. Decades ago, it was viewed with fascination and credulity. Then, in the 90s, it became a topic of moral panic and skepticism, with debates about whether therapists were creating it in their patients. Today, the debate is more nuanced. This ebb and flow shows us that our very definition of what a unified or multiple self is cultural and changes over time. Ultimately, all this chaos about identity connects us to a fundamental problem of the human condition, existential anxiety. If we are not a fixed and permanent entity, if we are this constant flow, what anchors us? What are we? This lack of a solid self is the root of a deep fear of annihilation, of nothingness. It's why we cling so strongly to our stories, our names, our possessions. Summarizing Level 3, reality is a wonderful mess. There are no clear answers. Identity is a battlefield of philosophical ideas, neurological paradoxes, and ethical dilemmas. Anyone who tells you they have a simple answer either lies to you or hasn't thought about it enough. All right? You've survived the chaos. You've seen that things are more intricate than they seem. Now it's time to see the details that separate the curious from the true connoisseurs. Prepare for Level 4. Level 4, expert knowledge. Let's start with something you won't find on Wikipedia. The philosopher Derek Parfit, a giant of the 20th century, came to a radical conclusion. After analyzing all the scenarios of teleporters and split brains, he said, personal identity is not what matters. What truly matters, according to him, is psychological survival, that your memories, intentions, and personality continue in someone, even if it's not strictly you. That is, if my clone on Mars lives my life, great. I die, but mine survives. It's an idea that changes the goal of the game. Now, a bit of hard science, but with an analogy that will make it easy. In quantum physics, there's the no-cloning theorem. It states that it's physically impossible to create a perfect identical copy of a quantum state. What does that mean for you? Think of it this way, your body is made of quantum particles. Perfectly cloning yourself isn't just an engineering challenge, it's a violation of the laws of the universe. It's like trying to photocopy a flame. The very act of measuring it to copy it alters it forever. Your current you is a unique and unrepeatable quantum state in the history of the cosmos. And amidst all the famous names, there are secret heroes. One of them is the contemporary philosopher Maria Schechtman. While many got lost in abstract thought experiments, she brought the debate back to earth. She strongly advocated for the idea of the narrative self that we mentioned earlier, arguing that being a person is fundamentally about being someone who can tell a story about their own life that places them in time and in a network of relationships. She's a modern heroine who reminds us that identity isn't lived on Mars, but in our everyday lives. And what about a truly rebellious theory? It's called panpsychism. It's the idea that consciousness isn't something magical that appears in brains, but rather a fundamental property of matter, like mass or electric charge. An electron has a tiny bit of experience. A rock a little more, a brain an immense amount. The rebellious view is, what if you aren't confined to your skull? What if your identity is just an incredibly complex swirl in a universal ocean of consciousness? It's crazy, but it turns everything we think we know upside down. Here's a scientific finding that clashes head-on with common sense. When do you think your brain works hardest on building who you are? When you're concentrated on solving a problem? No. Neuroscience has discovered the default mode network. It's a network of brain areas that activates like crazy precisely when you're doing nothing. When you're daydreaming, when your mind wanders. That's when your brain is weaving your story, reviewing your memories, simulating the future. Your sense of self is forged in leisure and boredom, not in hard work. And now the aha moment that connects everything. A niche idea that gives new meaning to almost everything we've seen, informational identity. Perhaps you are not the matter you're made of, which constantly changes. You're not even the energy. You are the pattern of information that this matter and energy form. Think about it, Theseus' ship remains the same if it maintains its design, its pattern. You remain you because your body maintains a biological pattern and your mind maintains a narrative pattern. Identity is not an object, it's a song that keeps playing while the musicians change. Reaching this fourth level of detail isn't just about accumulating curious facts. It's about starting to see the real texture of the world. It's understanding that the simplest questions like who am I hide a complexity and beauty that most people never get to glimpse. And that vision, that's the reward. We have reached the limit of what is known. We have explored patterns, physics, philosophy. Do you dare to look further towards the final frontier where there are only questions and wonder? Welcome to Level 5. Level 5, the final frontier. Let's look to the future. The idea of mind uploading to a computer. Imagine that in 100 years we can scan your brain and create a perfect simulation of your consciousness in the cloud. Is that digital being you? What if we don't erase your original body? Now there are 2. What if we make a backup copy? Now 3. Which one has rights to your bank account? To your family? This technology would shatter our definition of an individual. And this brings us to the deepest question of all, one that science and philosophy cannot even begin to answer yet. It's called the hard problem of consciousness. It is this: why does all this information processing, this pattern of neurons firing, feel a certain way from the inside? Why is there an eye that experiences the color red, the taste of chocolate, or the pain of loss? We could be perfect zombies doing everything the same but without internal experience. Where on earth does subjective experience come from? Nobody has the slightest idea. This question throws us into a dizzying philosophical implication. If your identity is a pattern in constant exchange with the environment, as we saw earlier, then the line separating the self from the non-self is completely arbitrary and blurry. You inhale atoms that were in a plant, your ideas are formed by the books you read. The conclusion is mind-blowing. The idea of a self separate and isolated from the rest of the universe might be the ultimate illusion. Perhaps you are not something in the universe. Perhaps you are a way the universe is experiencing itself temporarily through your eyes. And don't think this is just a mental journey. Understanding identity is crucial for the future of humanity. When we create truly conscious artificial intelligence, what will it be? A tool or a person? Will it have rights? Will turning it off be murder? The answer to these questions depends entirely on how we first solve the enigma of our own identity. It is the key to not making catastrophic mistakes as a species. And here I leave you with the final, most provocative idea. Perhaps our entire search has been wrongly conceived from the beginning. We've been looking for who or what you are as if you were an object, a noun. What if identity isn't a noun but a verb? You are not a person. You are constantly personing. You are a process, not a product. The correct question wouldn't be, who are you? But what incredible process of becoming are you immersed in right now? And so, our descent through the 5 levels has ended. We have traveled from a wooden ship to the confines of consciousness. Now, with this new and vast perspective, it's time to look back and contemplate the complete picture. Remember how we started all this, with the simple question about an old wooden ship, whether it remained the same when its planks were replaced. It seemed like a child's riddle, and now look where we are. We have concluded that you, like that ship, are not a thing, but a process, a becoming, a pattern of information dancing on matter, a way in which the universe becomes conscious of itself for a brief and glorious moment. We moved from wood and nails to the very structure of reality. I hope your vision of yourself is no longer that of a static photograph, but that of an epic film being shot at this very instant. Now it's your turn. From this whole journey from the Greek ship to the idea of being a verb, what concept blew your mind the most? I want to know. I sincerely thank you for joining me on this wild ride. Leave your thoughts in the comments because these conversations are what truly matter. And if you like these journeys into the depths of reality, subscribe because we have many more fascinating abysses to explore together.